We are Rogue Media Sports.
It is the Cam Show. It's Rogue Media Sports Network. It's Monday. Boy, is there a lot going on with your New England Patriots. Well, they probably bottomed out yesterday, hopefully, because that was by far the most winnable game on their schedule, and they lost again, because of course they did, to the Miami Dolphins, a team with no quarterback. Just went in there into Foxborough, where the Patriots have not won a game in almost a whole calendar year now, and took out New England. And the whole talk after the game was how bad this was and how bad this coach sucks, and it's time for Drake May. And then you're thinking, boy, this is a really tough day. Miami really sucks. The whole nation saw how much Miami sucked on Monday when they lost the Titans of all teams, and then came into Foxborough and beat you. And it was the thoughts of that Jacksonville team from a couple years ago that won the first game and lost the next 15. There's that feeling all around the Patriots on Sunday night. And you're thinking, how could this get any worse? And then Monday morning comes, where we learn that Patriots captain Jabrill Peppers was arrested Saturday in Braintree and was arrested for some pretty serious charges. Peppers is facing charges of assault, strangulation, possession of drugs believed to be cocaine, after an altercation with a woman at a Braintree apartment. This is from WCVB, by the way, Jamie Pombo Sesselman in this story that I have pulled up here. 4:15 a.m. Saturday at a Liberty Street residence. For those of you in Liberty Street, Braintree, look, there but for the grace of God go I. Who amongst us has not had a little altercation in an apartment in Braintree? Am I right? Am I right, fellas? I was hoping for a rim shot or something there, Zach. We'll work on that. We're working on the soundboard. No, you don't have to do it. Now it's pity. Don't do it.
I have sound effects, but I don't remember which one does what. So it would honestly be like a
just a guess.
Yeah, like
not the worst you could
I guess
pulled.
right.
Not
There
the
you
worst
go.
you could
All
have
right.
pulled. Not the worst. But yeah, I mean, look, we've all been there at 4:15 a.m. on a Saturday in Braintree, you know. Anyway, called for altercation between Peppers, 29, and his girlfriend. The 911 caller, said that Peppers hit her, choked her, took off her clothing, and put her outside. Well, that's not great. That's really not great. The woman told responding officers that Peppers put his hand on her neck and smashed her head against the wall before he allegedly pushed her down the stairs after an argument. We are also hearing rumors, unsubstantiated, that this is Jabrill Peppers' girlfriend, woman of the night, lady friend of some capacity. That would come to no surprise. 4:15 a.m. on a Saturday. Peppers was placed in handcuffs and taken to the Braintree police station, where an officer found a clear plastic bag containing a white powder substance inside Peppers' wallet. When questioned about the substance, Peppers said, "Oh, it's cocaine," according to the police report. I really thought that was going to be flour. I'm not going to lie to you. Jabrill Peppers, I thought, would just be ready to bake at all times. But also coming from this, he denied pushing her down the stairs. The report says this. He denied pushing her down the stairs and said that she was making those allegations to destroy his career. Again, charged with assault and battery on a family member. Okay, that's a little different. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance believed to be cocaine. As if this Patriots thing wasn't bad enough, we now have allegations of one of their captains being a complete scumbag and a threat to society. Now, we will let the justice process play out here. Okay, there have been times where these things have not fully come to what we heard at the initial scene. But if half of this is true, this is very bad. And we do have a victim who was treated at the scene and a witness who said that Peppers hit her, choked her, took off her clothing, and put her outside. So this does not shape up to be good news for the Patriots or for anyone involved, to be quite honest with you. And it just goes to show, like, this is not like, hey, a mark on the organization, like some people want to say, because I mean, this is an issue throughout the NFL. I don't think there's any team that hasn't had some sort of off the field issue when it comes to an assault or some sort of domestic violence. It doesn't take away from it, but like that really sucks. It's a problem around the league, but it's just like one more negative thing to go around this franchise right now. And two of your captains are hurt and out for the year, and a third one has now been arrested on an assault with a deadly weapon charge and possession of cocaine and possibly beating the crap out of his girlfriend. Possibly. What are we doing here, man? This is just brutal news. And we're really learning more every hour. This broke this morning, early this morning. He was in court this morning as well. There was some comments from his attorney that said we have evidence that goes contrary to exactly what the victim is alleging. In fact, I've got that direct quote up here somewhere. Peppers arrested. This is good radio. This is good radio right here. Peppers defense attorney told Judge Mark Coven that the evidence he has reviewed, quote, sheds real doubt on the allegations, quote, made by the alleged victim when interviewed by Braintree police on Saturday. So he posted bond, posted bail, whatever it is. He is out. Next hearing is set for November 22nd, but Peppers does not have to attend. Coven ruled at the request of the athlete's attorney. Prosecutors did not object to that. So whether he comes back to the Patriots, I think remains to be seen. It's a guy who's injured anyway. He was on the injury report, last week and the week before as well, by the way. I think if you're the Patriots, how do you let him back right now? I know innocent till proven guilty. Trust me. I believe in that, in the justice process, but you suck anyway. Like you're the worst team in the NFL anyway. Why bring back Jabrill Peppers with all of this around him right now? You know, this is like, hey, why don't you go figure this stuff out? We'll do the losing by ourselves. We don't need you to do that, and go figure this out. But God, this is not good at all. Not good at all. One of the captains, one of the faces of your team is out here while your team is really struggling, and it's a coach trying to find his footing, a quarterback that's trying to play, a team that is trying desperately to just find something that's going to help them win a football game, and one of your captains is out there beating up women, allegedly. Not a great look at all for the Patriots, and somehow a worse look than what they put out there on the field on Sunday, because I do need to get to that. I'm not going to say which one was worse. That's going to bring up some bad comments, Zach. But wow, that game yesterday against Miami. Oh, that is, I mean, you talk about, we talked about it on Friday, or Thursday, actually, pitching it for the Kibbe Dome. It was going to be the worst two teams in the league, and they absolutely showed that. What a bad advertisement for the NFL that game was between the Dolphins and the Patriots. My God, like that game should have been blacked out in every market if the NFL had their druthers. Like nobody needs to be exposed to this. This should be lost media for the National Football League. It was every ounce of bad you could think up, and it lived up to that hype. It was the worst. It was the worst special teams game I've ever seen, and they accomplished that in the first half of the game. My God, we had a missed field goal for each team. We had a blocked punt. We had a fumbled snap on a field goal right before halftime. It was an atrocious game. Atrocious. Sorry, Zach, I got a text from my dad. I sent him a picture of a tweet earlier because he's not on Twitter about the Jabrill Peppers thing. And he sent me that screenshot back, and it just said Cam. So I think he meant to send that to someone else and imply that I sent that to him. But he sent it to me. That was distracting. I mean, anything to get off thinking about that Patriots game yesterday. golly, man. And it was just like we said, two monkeys trying to hump a football. The absolute, I have seen better special teams play at the Special Olympics than what I saw the Patriots and Dolphins roll out there on Sunday. And it was a game 10-3, then 10-6, then 10-9. And lo and behold, the Dolphins run a 15-play drive that goes for over 7.5 minutes, 80 yards for a touchdown to take the lead, a lead they would not relinquish, and they win it 15-10. And what would have been the story of the weekend, but for the Jabrill Peppers alleged assault, what would have been the story of the weekend was the Jalen Polk game-winning touchdown that was not. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. I understand that this is the rule, but we have found the most pointless rule in all of football through this Jalen Polk non-touchdown yesterday that would have won the Patriots the game. Like, you literally take a win off this team's record book because of this call. So he catches it in the back of the end zone. As he catches it, foot down, and then toe tap on whatever it was, the right foot. So he catches it, left foot down, right foot toe tap as he's going out of bounds, gets both feet down, touchdown, except it wasn't. Because apparently the rule is if your back is facing the back of the end zone, I guess, you can't just toe tap. The heel needs to come down as well. So here's a guy who has 10 toes in bounds with possession of the football, and they say that's not a catch. 10 toes in bounds and no part of him out of bounds, and they say, no, that's not a catch. Because in other parts of the field, they say, hey, as long as you get 10 toes and you're not out of bounds, like, you're good. 2 feet, 10 toes, it's all the same. And then when Jalen Polk does it for a game-winning touchdown, they say, well, no, you can't do it that way. You need to get 2 feet in bounds, but not that way. That's not the way we do it. It's the rule. I mean, people have pointed out that it's the rule, but it's got to be the dumbest rule we have in football. And there are some dumb ones that rear its ugly head, but that one is really fucking stupid. Like, what is a catch? If that's not a catch, like what else does the guy really need to do? In other parts of the field, he's allowed to just have 10 toes, and that's okay. But in the back of the end zone, he's not. Like, I don't understand that. It's not even just the back of the end zone. Because his body is contorted that way, he's not allowed to toe tap. Like, how does that benefit anybody? Like, nobody watching that yesterday in real time and on the replays is like, oh my God, that's an incomplete pass. Nobody was saying that. Everyone was like, that's a touchdown. By every football game we've watched our whole lives, that's a touchdown. I just don't understand that rule. It makes no sense. And I saw a bunch of people bringing up the tuck rule as like, oh, finally, karma gets the Patriots. And like, that's a similar situation in that was the rule, and you might not have liked the rule. But at least with the tuck rule, what it was trying to do was take subjectivity out of it. Okay, the whole point of the tuck rule was that referees didn't have to make a judgment call on when the arm was actually going forward for a pass and when he was tucking it in. Like, at what point of that process does it become a tuck rather than a throw? That was the whole point of it. And was it a dumb rule? Kinda, yeah. But I understand why that rule is there, and it's since been changed. But like, this toe tap rule, like, I don't understand the benefit of it. I don't understand it at all. Like, if he has his back completely to the goalpost, or if it's turned a little slightly on an angle, that's still just as impressive a catch. It's just as impressive a play, and it should count just the same. So then I wonder, what if Jalen Polk is tilted a little bit? Like, half his back is facing towards the end zone and half is not. Like, then does the same rule apply? So yeah, the Patriots didn't get hosed on the call. They got hosed on the rule. And they did get hosed. That's bullshit, man. Any other part of the field, that's a catch. But not here. We don't think you're allowed to do that here. And it takes a win off the record book for the Patriots. And there are some fans out there who are saying, oh, well, this is good anyway. We don't want them to win. We want them to have the number 1 pick. And it's like, for what? They're not drafting a quarterback. And I'm hearing this traction about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is a really good player. Like a really good player. Should probably be the number 1 pick in the draft. And is a guy we're going to be hearing about for the next decade in the NFL. If you watch the Patriots this year and you tell me they need a cornerback wide receiver at number 1 in the draft, you are insane, certifiable. If you watch the pressure that everyone gets on this team going against them, the pass rush that gets against them every game, how often your quarterback is taking a hit, how often your offensive line is allowing pressure, and you're telling me they need a cornerback? Fucking miss me with that. There is no scenario, no pick in this draft that you could convince me the Patriots need to take someone other than a tackle. You cannot do it. You try as you might to convince me, Cam Stewart, that they should be drafting someone other than an offensive tackle. You could not be more wrong. And I just can't believe that rule. Like, that rule to me is so stupid. I know some people don't like the fumble out of the end zone touchback rule, but again, at least that makes some sort of football sense. Like, to me, this doesn't make any football sense at all. At all. But the Patriots sucked in every facet yesterday. Like, that was far from the only thing that was wrong with the Patriots, but it does take a game-winning touchdown off the board. Now, after that, you get to 3rd and 10, and nobody blocks Emmanuel Ogbah. Once again, just play that clip if you want to draft a receiver or a cornerback with your first-round pick. No one covers him on the edge and forces a throwaway right away, complete non-play. Go to 4th and 10, game on the line, and Hunter Henry flinches. False start. Now it's 4th and 15, like procedural penalties all game long. The Patriots suck so bad that they cannot afford to lose anything in the margins. Their personnel and their coaching is bad enough. They don't need to be doing undisciplined shit. And actually, before this game, they were pretty disciplined. It's progressively gotten worse every week. And we have moved back to what we saw in 2022 and 2023. 12 penalties for 105 yards. 12 penalties in the NFL. I said after week 1 that this did not look like a team that was going to win 1 or 2 games because they didn't commit stupid penalties. They didn't turn the ball over. They didn't make bad plays worse. And I said, man, that just didn't look, it might have looked like a 4 or 5 win team, but it didn't look like a 1 or 2 win team. Now they look like a 1 or 2 win team. And to be honest, I can't find a game on this schedule that I'm like, yeah, I feel good about that. There isn't one. They do play Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. They would play Tennessee at Tennessee. But that is, like, I don't know how you sit there and say, yeah, that's a win. It's not. This looks like a 1-win football team, and it feels like that Jags team with Gardner Minshew, job ain't finished or whatever they said, after being 1-0, and they ended 1-15. That's what it feels like right now, that the Patriots will have won game 1, done the silly Gatorade bath, and the football god said, all right, we threw you a bone, let you win week 1, then you Gatorade bathed your coach after a week 1 victory. And that's embarrassing. You're going to lose every game the rest of the season, and you deserve to. And they deserve to right now. They're that bad. So, of course, now, if it wasn't already before, it is now all Drake May. When is it Drake May's time? How much longer do we have to sit and watch this shit? I said after Miami is the time to look at it. It's really hard. It's after Miami. It's time. I think it's time. We're going to talk about that more throughout the week. But just an all around abysmal performance from the Patriots yesterday. The most winnable game on their schedule, of course, turns into a loss. And to make it worse, one of their captains gets arrested for aggravated assault and battery afterwards. That's great. That's awesome. Things are going very well for the New England Patriots. I am very glad that CBS flexed that game and took Tom Brady off the call, because that would have been a disaster to have that on Fox and have Tom Brady on the call. After all he's done for the franchise, he did not have to sit back and watch that. That was so abysmally bad. And who knows how many games the Dolphins are going to win, but they've got one over the Patriots now. They're now second in the AFC East because the Jets suck too. Welcome to Suckville, everyone. This is hopefully as bad as it gets for the Patriots. But, I mean, personnel, awful. Scheme, awful. Clock management, just so piss poor. I'm sorry. I get he's a first-year head coach, but he played under Bill Belichick, who was the best at clock management and situation management. And this guy just sucks. I mean, I get it. His vibes were great in Israel 5 years ago, but what has he proven to show he's a real NFL coach right now? I mean, good Lord. They practically handed Miami points at the end of the first half. They get the ball with 1:50 left. They run it. They run 30 seconds off the clock, and then they pass it twice. 2 incompletions. Miami doesn't need to burn a timeout, and you give them the ball after a bad punt in plus territory for Miami. Luckily, they suck, and they gave up the points. Bad snap, fumbled snap on a field goal, and all of a sudden they don't get any points. But literally any other team, 30 other teams in the league, other than those 2 that played on Sunday, 30 other teams would have gotten points there. And then at the end of the game, 10 seconds left, you maybe have 2 plays, but probably 1 play. You got to score a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, your veteran quarterback who has been around the block, the guy who you are only playing because he's a veteran guy and makes great decisions. He's a great quarterback in between the years. He throws it inbounds to the 10-yard line to Hunter Henry. No time left. No timeouts. Fucking moron. This team is full of them. Jesus. And we got 2 more months to watch this shit. 3 more months. 3 more months to watch this shit. At least the Bruins won't be as bad because they finally get the deal done. Let's talk Jeremy Swayman on the Cam Show coming up next. Sports. We're back. Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. And of course, the big news of the weekend. What really fired me up this morning. Zach, you've had a big weekend.
Yep.
Big time weekend. Baby shower.
Yes, sir.
Sure, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Big time. And when I asked you this morning, I said, you saw the big news.
Yeah. Without hesitation.
You saw the big news.
Yeah. Without hesitation, I immediately brought up what I think you're about to dive into.
So this is special to me. This should mean something to me, man, because our great producer, fearless leader, Zach, hockey fan.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd call yourself a huge hockey fan.
No, I've always enjoyed it, but I know that obviously my knowledge is lacking in areas.
And like you are from the sticks, brother. Like the sticks,
Yeah.
deep in the heart of Central Texas. We're talking rodeos, mutton busting, pretty close to 6-man football kind of sticks out here.
Yeah, that's what goes on around here, but I've always been contrarian enough to where that's never been really my scene.
You
But
have. You have.
Yeah.
You've been like you've had some adversity thrown at you to becoming a big time hockey fan, and you have pushed on.
Yeah.
And the fact that a couple of months ago, this would never even have ended up on your radar.
Very true.
But we talked about this the other day. You already knew who Jonas Korpisalo was.
That's true.
And you got the big headline that Jeremy Swayman has signed with the Boston Bruins. Finally, the deal is done. Jeremy Swayman signs 8 years, $8.25 million AAV, which brings it to what? That would bring it to 66?
Yeah, 66.
Right? Yeah. Over 8 years, yeah. Anyway, somewhere around there. I don't want to do the math. But he's got about $20 million in bonuses as well that he could earn throughout this contract. And like, it's just like, finally, man, this weight is off. But it does make you wonder, like, why wasn't this done a long time ago? Because, I mean, 2 months ago, we could have told you, 3 months ago, we could have told you, like, 8x8, that's fair. Like, yes, sign me up. That's a good deal for the player, good deal for the team. And it took an extra 3 months to get to 8.25. So it makes you wonder, where was either camp starting? We've heard reports, and reports get shot down. I from where the number we got to, it wouldn't stun me at all if the Bruins started with somewhere in the $6 to $7 million range, and Jeremy Swayman's camp wanted to set it at about $10 million. That wouldn't stun me at all hearing this. But 8 for 8.25 per year is perfect. A perfect deal. That's what top 5 goalies are getting right now. And Jeremy Swayman is probably right on the outside of being a top 5 goalie right now. And in a couple of years, I think it's going to look great for the team. I think it's going to look great for the Bruins in a couple of years when the salary cap goes up. And I think it's still going to be good value for the player. And these bonuses in there would, bring up that AAV. If Jeremy feels like he's being slighted a bit. But he goes from $3.475 million AAV to $8.25 million. He's now getting paid, at least for the first 2 years until the salary cap goes way up, as one of the top highest paid goalies in the entire league. Now, immediately what I thought was funny was on the Bruins side, it was like, all right, who's more to blame still? And what grades do you give them? But in the national scene of things, it was like, oh, wow, the Bruins actually did get this done. Now, what's this going to mean for Igor Shesterkin, who goes to market after this year as an RFA? And obviously, he will demand a huge salary. But in terms of looking at Swayman, both Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky at $9.5 million, Connor Hellebuck at $8.5 million, and Ilya Sorokin is at that same number, $8.25 million. And three of those guys, Bobrovsky, Hellebuck, and Sorokin, signed their deals when they were due to become UFAs. And Swayman was an RFA, restricted free agent. Sorokin, I think, is an overpay. I've never been really high on the Sorokin train. So when you just compare that apples to apples, you're like, oh my God, he's getting the same money that Ilya Sorokin is. But the fact that he's just a hair under what Connor Hellebuck is getting, the Vezina Trophy winner, it's like a 2 or 3 time Vezina Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuck. It's like, okay, then that is a good spot for Jeremy Swayman to be in. And right now, it's a really good spot for the Boston Bruins to be in. Right now, they are supposed to open up the season tomorrow. Both the Panthers and the Bruins are practicing today in Sunrise. There's been a lot of talk as to whether this game will go on, because there's another hurricane set to hit Florida this week. And it's a big deal, obviously, for the Panthers. It's their banner-raising night, but it's game 1 of 82 here. They really want to put this much of a risk. Like, people are already evacuating Florida. It's supposed to hit on Wednesday. So, like, you're kind of playing with fire to get both teams out of there. And probably the Panthers' families getting out of there with the team as well. Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, before it comes hitting on Wednesday. But if you're not, like, there's not going to be flights going out on Wednesday. So it's a weird scene there, but the Bruins are there. and both teams are practicing today as if they are going to play tomorrow. It would be a real shame if, obviously any fans or teammates or teams get stuck. But I don't think the NHL is taking huge risks in game one. So if they're going to play, they're going to play, and our famine for Bruins hockey will be over. Hopefully tomorrow night. And then if not, Thursday, they take on Montreal at home. And by that point, Thursday could well see Jeremy Swayman in net for the Bruins. They're still sticking with Korpisalo game one. Oh, that could be bad. That could be a nice little sportsman's nod to the Florida Panthers. Hey, you raised your first Stanley Cup banner tonight. How about you go nuts on us? Here's Jonas Korpisalo. But they also, what else were they going to do? They signed Swayman on Sunday morning. Now, Sway has been keeping loose. He's been practicing with BU, apparently. And I know there are Hockey East fans from the 90s that were just punching air hearing that. Maine and BU was a good rivalry in the 90s when they were two of the best teams in all of college hockey year in, year out. But Swayman apparently has been keeping loose with the Dogs, with the Terriers, and keeping loose on that ice. So he should be ready to go. He should be ready to go on Thursday. But man, when that news came across, I had the text coming in, Zach, Pete, just everyone going nuts. They couldn't believe that the Swayman deal was finally done, and at a very fair price at 8 years and $8.25 per year. That's all you could expect. But I did watch this face-off NHL, Amazon Prime. Big fan. I thought there was some interesting creative choices with it. Like the people they talked to, like no one local. They just clearly did like 5 or 6 people for the whole series. But I'm like, this national NHL network broadcaster is like telling me about the guy Jeremy Swayman is. And I'm like, why aren't we talking to like, I don't know, someone who's on the Bruins beat or Jack Edwards or someone like that, someone who's actually around him all the time. Who is this? Like, I don't even know who this person is. Pete Blackburn, Boston guy, featured prominently. And then they would have like their talking heads, like they'd put VO over them, like B-roll, like you didn't see the people actually talking, and then they would like become the narrator for part of it. It was very odd. But overall, I've enjoyed the series so far. I've got 2 more episodes to watch, the Stanley Cup final ones. Watch the Swayman one first, right away. Episode 3, Swayman and Tkachuk. And I was so annoyed. Obviously, before the contract signed, it's a whole part of it is like Swayman going into a contract year. That was the whole focus. And he just kept saying, like, if this is my last time playing for the Bruins, yada, yada. And I'm like, it seems like a weird, almost manifestation here. Like he knew he was going to push the Bruins. Probably didn't know he was going to push the Bruins to the brink, but based off the way he was talking in that episode, he knew he was going to be in for a fight and was going to push the Bruins. And that I think he knew right away he was going to push for way more than what they were going to open with. And obviously that was probably the case. But another takeaway I had from that, my opinion didn't change on Matthew Tkachuk. Would love to have him on my team, man. What a player. A player that has gone by the wayside throughout most of the league. Skilled, goal scorer, greasy, grimy areas, throws a body check in there, can drop the gloves, really can mix it up. And there's just not many of those. I don't want to call him power forward, but as close to a power forward as you're going to get these days. And you'd love to have him on your team. You hate going against him. But, man, in that series, when he tells Marchand that he's never seen a captain quit on his team, that's so bullshit to me. That's so bullshit. Obviously, he knew his teammate Sam Bennett threw a sucker punch at Brad Marchand in game 2. Like just a complete Bush League bullshit play. And they all tried to spin it as a reverse check, but they know, they saw it. And to then later in the series tell Marchand, a guy who's won a cup, and said, hey, you're quit. I've never seen a captain quit on his team like this. That's so bullshit, dude. Fuck the Panthers. Like genuinely fuck the Florida Panthers. God, they're a good team. They're really tough to play against, but fuck them, dude. They suck. And I'm hearing Tkachuk saying, oh, I've never seen a captain quit on his team while he's going to fight Pasternak. Like, I don't know, maybe grow a set of balls and go after Pat Maroon or somebody. Instead, he's running goalies and going after the most skilled guy on the other team who's never fought in his life. What Bush, dude? Like, fuck you. Fuck the Panthers. I know I said to Pete the other day, of all the rivals that I would like want to just get rid of off the face of the earth, the Miami Heat are the only ones. Let's go across the street and add them to the list. Fuck the Florida Panthers. The NHL has no use for the Florida Panthers. And when they're pulling this shit, I have no use for them either. But I will say it's great to have a real rivalry in there. Toronto, that's not a rivalry. They can never beat us. They will never beat us. It's like the Celtics and the Sixers. It's not going to happen. Little brother, never going to happen. Montreal stinks. Flyers stink. Let's get some juice in there. Let's get some vinegar with a Bruins rivalry. Florida Panthers will absolutely give you that. So I don't mind if they fall off the face of the earth, but for right now, I'll keep them along because, damn, this is a fun rivalry. I wish the Bruins were better. I wish the Bruins could beat them in a 7-game series. I don't know if they can the way they're constructed this year, but my God, that is a great, fun rivalry because these two teams fucking hate each other. And you don't have enough of that in sports in general now. And I can't believe we're at a point where you don't have enough of that in the NHL. Hockey should be a breeding ground for that. Those 7-game physical series. And really, the Bruins and the Panthers are the only ones like holding the torch for real hockey rivalries anymore. So bring on more of that. But miss me with that Matthew Tkachuk saying that Brad Marchand gave up on his team. Yeah, because your teammate pulled some Bush League shit and tried to knock him out. Like, that was a dirty fucking play. And you're going to come back to me a few games later and tell their captain that he's giving up on his team? Fuck you, dude. And bring on the hockey season. And bring on Jeremy Swayman mixing it up. Don't become an Aaron Rodgers, Kyrie Irving. Be a prick. Be a team full of pricks. No, I won't say speaking of. Talking to Pete Souza next on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. Speaking of pricks, the Mets.
I'm so happy.
I told you they were a team of pricks. Does that sound right?
No, Mets are not a team of pricks.
I meant that in a good way, in an endearing way.
Yeah.
They won't go away. They're fucking.
Let me get rid of this. I'm sorry, Cam.
Okay.
I have like a lozenge in my mouth.
A what? A lasagna?
A lozenge.
I think that means lasagna.
I was really worried this weekend.
What? Can you tell me what that is?
It's like a throat lozenge, like a Ricola.
I just wanted that moment to breathe as you.
That's what he's trying to do.
No, look on my.
I didn't watch any of that game, by the way.
On the Pete Souza show on the Pete Souza show on Friday, I talked about how the Mets had this crazy like momentum and mojo, and they won game 1, and then there they were knocking on the door in game 2. And then it looked like the Phillies had him finished. You know, they had him down a run after another big home run, and then the Mets tied the game. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose. Like, they have this thing going for them where they're now pulling stuff right out of their ass. They're that team. We're screwed. And then my man Castellanos comes through. So Castellanos makes a huge
catch. And then nothing like really bad happened. Well, the Jabrill Peppers thing did happen.
Yeah, I wanted
that news broken afterwards.
Just since Pete brought up
that is it. Yeah.
Castellanos, did you see? I saw an article over the weekend where ESPN had asked to write like an article about all the times he home run where negative, or where you know, and that he was going to until they refused to give him editorial control, and so he decided not to do the story.
I love Castellanos. He doesn't care about your story. He has to win. He's a
Okay.
he's a prick.
Wow, what a hero.
What
a hero.
But he like in the best way possible. Runs right over to his son.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what movie I watched yesterday? First time ever.
What?
Sideways.
Oh, that is a gem. That's a
good
great
movie.
movie, dude.
And I had seen this scene before, but there's one that like perfectly encapsulates me, and I think you know exactly which one.
What? We're not drinking any Merlot.
Yeah. Like right before he goes in there, he's like, "If anyone's drinking any fucking Merlot, I'm fucking out of here." Like that is so me. That is perfectly me. Like I was using this example. Like if it was last night, like I had to go out with like Grace's friends or something, I'd be like, if anyone asks me about the fucking Patriots, I'm leaving.
Is Grace in town?
No, this weekend she's not.
Okay, all right.
I think I'm thinking we might go to the rodeo.
Okay, that's fun.
I've never been to a rodeo.
Wow, that's a
and
good
I'm
idea.
in Texas only for another couple months.
Was that going on this weekend?
Yeah.
I could have gone this weekend.
Yeah,
huh?
it was. Yeah.
Iron Man was this weekend too in Waco.
Really?
Yeah, a lot going on.
Robert Downey?
No, the Iron Man. Sideways is a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
And by the way, how about us
guy is a
connecting two
dick.
topics now? The death of Pete Rose last year, and now we're talking about Paul Giamatti, Bart Giamatti's
Yes,
son.
and I really liked that I was telling this to Mike too. I really liked that there was a picture in the movie that's supposed to be his character, Paul Giamatti's character, and his dad, and like an old picture.
Yeah.
And it's actually Paul and Bart Giamatti.
Very, very
And I'm like,
cool.
that's actually cool because, I mean, not that he's the most famous guy in the world, but sickos like me know what Bart Giamatti looks like and know that he was the commissioner of baseball. And so I liked
kicked
that.
Pete Rose.
That was cool. Yeah.
Out of baseball forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then died like 5 days later. So his forever was not that long.
No.
I also saw, I'm going to link more things together because Paul Giamatti is in the Holdovers. Is that what it's called? Holdovers, Leftovers.
Yeah.
Holdovers.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
Good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
movie.
He's good at playing an English teacher, I guess.
Yeah.
And in that movie, you see some old Boston Bruins pennants because it's supposed to be like 1970. Yeah. And when I went to our local sporting memorabilia store in Waco the other day, I saw this old pennant. It was halfway down the middle. It was Boston Bruins versus the Soviet Union in a game in 1979.
I mean, what store was this?
Bankston's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I love Bankston's. Yeah.
And
I was about to say there's another store carrying that stuff.
It was so cool, and it was like in great condition. It's got like the plastic thing, like you would put a baseball card in, but in the shape of a pennant. It was like $80, so I didn't buy it. But I'm like, what a cool little piece, man.
That's very, very cool.
Just linking it all back to Sideways.
I got that Doc Gooden poster here that I barely ever put up where he's throwing the apple and the apple's on fire.
That's pretty cool. You
cool.
Like things about apples and bananas. There's a lot of that going on with your posters that we'll see on the Pete Sousa show.
You guys are nuts.
They also had a full-size replica of that chrome Baylor football helmet.
Yes.
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I really came close to buying
That's like the 2014 helmets. Yeah.
And I think I still might. So it's $200, which for a full-size helmet is pretty cheap, but in regular person life for me is not cheap.
I will tell you, they have that helmet at KWTX, and I could have easily walked out of the station with it, and no one would have been wiser.
You know what? Zach, scrub that last 10 seconds. I'm gonna go do inside the 12 this week.
I could easily walk back there and be like, yeah, I'm taking this, and walk right out with it. Or be like, I'm borrowing it. Yeah.
Just like put it on as a joke and then just continue.
I thought about it. I actually wore it. I
actually
wore it. The anniversary came up. I put it on during a morning show where it was when Baylor was on the run in 2019. And I was like, I got Baylor. And I put it on at the end.
That's so cool. You're cool. I might get it though. And in fact, I this came up organically in a conversation with Grace later in the day where she was like, you know what? I really love that helmet that Baylor used to have, like the shiny one. And I was like, bitch, I almost bought that one yesterday. Like,
she said that?
Oh yeah. Like apropos of nothing. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I don't know what that term means.
I mean, it means related to nothing.
Okay, so I got it right.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know,
yeah, Zach, count that for
appropriate to nothing. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got that.
I think that's what
there are some words and terms.
It is right.
The word apropos means to in reference or concerning.
There you
so
go.
Apropos of nothing. When
there you go.
Referencing nothing.
Look at Pete.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a wordsmith, low key.
Dude, well,
My
you
father.
should be, man. You're, journalist and
yeah.
and you're into writing
they
and
say.
stuff. And I don't know how much writing you do, but you're into reading it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm.
sports writing and stuff.
I just finished up Al Michaels' book, and then I transitioned right on to
Tua. Yeah.
to Vern Lundquist.
Fuck Tua. And fellas, if the Mets make the World Series, like she's going to be on one of those desk shows.
Oh,
Alex, A-Rod, like, I'm sure you've heard of Hawk Tua. Well, we've got her right here, the real thing. And boy, has she sparked these New York Mets.
and then Mike Francesa gets to go on a rant about how bad like Hawk Tua and this whole situation is.
What is Hawk Tua? Everyone keeps talking to me about this Hawk Tua. People coming up to me on my street. My kids are trying to tell me what this Hawk Tua is. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world.
You could look it up actually because it was this podcast. We should have done that.
Oh, you know what I was going to say about wordsmithing? You know who I try to
Mosley's
now
a
I
wordsmith.
intentionally piss off Mosley with some words. Because the term short-lived is actually supposed to be short-lived. And so I say that a lot, even though no one says it. Or gerrymandering is actually how it's supposed to be pronounced. Not gerrymandering. And Mosley gets like so pissed. Or when I say Adidas or respite rather than respite.
What does he say?
He's like, yeah, but nobody uses that term. Nobody. You're the only person that.
But he knows you're right.
Says that. But
right?
yeah. And then he'll correct me on the air, which I don't mind. Like when I say, like I should have saw that coming. Should have seen that coming, and things like that. So now I'll just like intentionally throw things Mosley's way, just like tee it up for him to be.
Does Mose know your situation?
What situation?
That
My mental illness?
No, that you'll be leaving Central Texas potentially. He does. What is?
I mean, Mosley is one of those people you need to tell 4 or 5 times when you're not going to be on the show, and then he's like,
"Oh, surprise, surprise!"
Yes, but. No, it did come up last week where he was like, he just said something like, "Well, I think you should reconsider when you're moving."
I think so too.
And I'm like, dude,
it doesn't seem planned out that thoroughly. Is all I'm saying. You got a bird in the hand. I'm not trying to make this another Cam Sykes session, but
I mean, that's where it's going to become if you keep pushing it, man.
I'm just saying.
Look,
you got to do what Grace wants to do at the end of the day,
and what I want to do, brother.
No, you don't. If we were doing what you want to do, you would stay here and continue to get reps and continue to build your little Cam brand that's expanding to a big Cam brand. I'm telling you, that's
I don't know, man. I would like it to be October 7th and not be 95 fucking degrees. I don't want to be.
I changed the license plate on the. I was trying to put a Villanova license plate holder, like a frame on the back of it was my mom's. She no longer drives. It's like a classic. I took it off her car. After she totaled it, actually they took her off. That's when we took the keys away from her.
Yeah.
Everybody was fine. But I was putting it on outside today and ran into a little bit of trouble. Like one of the things was stripped and Christy's with me and she's an engineer. So now she's got to get real involved. Yeah. Loves a project, loves to solve a project. It's a whole deal. And she's always right. And so
Grace likes doing that, but she's not an engineer.
Yeah, exactly. At least Christy's an engineer. So anyways, it's 150 degrees and we end up stripping this steel. And so we can't get it back on. And then this part falls off.
License plate frame?
Yeah, it's a whole deal. So then finally we just, my front frame, and Zach, feel free to chime in if you know any of the logistics legally on this. My front license plate fell off.
Did you get the legality on that? We know you passed the bar.
My front license plate fell off. So all I had was a back one, but now the holder on the back is not working. So I just moved my back one to my front. Is that legal in Texas? I'm hoping.
I think that's fair. They're the same license plate.
Yeah, but do you have to have it both? I think you do. Zach?
I thought you didn't have to have both. Maybe I'm thinking of Massachusetts. I don't know. This is good.
It says that front and back license plates are not the same in Texas or in the United States, is what Google says.
But so what does that mean?
It's just size-wise, I think.
So can I have one in the front though? Again, I know you don't work for
Well, it says Texas is one of 31 states that require both front and rear license plates.
So now I'm negotiating, right, with the officer. Like, well,
you want me to make you feel a little bit better, I guess?
yeah.
So I had to pull out my license to make sure I'd never changed my address after we moved, and it's been a while. So I was decided I'll finally do that. Like, since to vote and all that coming up, I didn't find out until I went to change my address that my license expired on my birthday back in June this year. So I had an expired license for like 4 months. So there you go.
My passport just expired. Now that you say that, like last week, my passport expired.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta get a new.
I got it for my senior trip. I got it renewed for my senior year of high school trip, September 2014, and now it is expired. Wow, this is enthralling.
Well, I mean, it is interesting. Now I know.
Now
I know. By the way, I need to get I have not. I was thinking about saying this. I'm going to say it. I need to get a Texas license. I still have. I still have a Louisiana license, and so when I get pulled over,
that took me a while.
These officers are, dude. It's been 7 years. It's been 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take me that long.
No,
yeah.
So I need to do that.
All right,
because I love Texas.
Let me throw this question at you. We have about 5 minutes left here. We have talked time and time again about a Rewatchables podcast that we do exclusively in Scottish accents.
No.
I think that was part of the deal, right?
That's really good, though.
That was part of the deal, right? Right. Aye. All right. So if we had to start our form of Rewatchables, which will have to be a little bit different than Bill Simmons, please.
Yeah.
What would be the first movie that you would want us to go over?
Well,
we talked about how Sideways fits what we talk about sometimes.
Moneyball. I would love Moneyball. Jerry Maguire is a great one. I would love Major League. I mean, sports. I think like I love.
You're gonna stick with sports movies.
No, I would do Outside for sure.
No, I mean for this first one.
Yeah. God,
Moneyball would be a great one. I love Moneyball.
We could have some fun with Fever Pitch. I mean,
we could.
That's the kind of one like that would be a lot of fun.
Which one? You don't want to do the Arsenal one with Colin Firth?
No, I didn't
even
seen
know.
That one? No, I didn't know about that.
It's not bad. It's not bad. The original story, the book, and the original movie. The movie came out like 96, 98 or so.
Yeah.
It's about an Arsenal fan. And it's the same thing. They hadn't won the league title in 18 years, not 86. And they have this miraculous end. It's kind of pretty much the same story. It's a decent movie. Colin Firth is in
it. Those are some that Rocky, any of the Rockies, The Program. The Program is a great one to do. Like you get into like Joe Kane and like that whole circus and like what's going on with him being an alcoholic, and then he's showing up at practice and he's throwing balls like literally right into the ground in front of him. And the coach is like, Joe's in his head with these throws, and they go over to Joe making throws, and he's like spiking the football into the ground. This is your Heisman candidate. Like, we got trouble, dude. It's worse than Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, baby.
You know what I mean?
Trouble.
Like that's what Mike Gundy was probably hearing from an assistant coach in August. Like, Ollie's having trouble running the football, and they go to Ollie Gordon, and he's tripping over his own 2 feet. That's like your Heisman candidate. Can we address this issue? Is that what happened? It's like the program.
What's funny is you could use a 2024 example at the school that the program is based off of, clearly based
South Carolina?
No. Florida State.
No, it's not based off Florida
State. Dude, Zach, back
I always thought it was, especially with the jerseys too.
Like Florida State.
No.
That'd be like saying Blue Mountain State is
it's
based
filmed
off,
in South. That's another thing about this movie. What is with their schedule?
Okay.
Are they independent? What conference are they in?
And it's also filmed at Duke, but it's not Duke.
Well, it's filmed at William Bryce Stadium.
The stadium is there.
South Carolina.
The campus is
Duke. Yes.
But like it is trying to be Florida State. Come on.
I just always assume because of the jerseys.
Dude, they're not good enough. They're not good enough. If they were Florida State, they would have been running roughshod through people. They were trying to.
It was 93.
Like, they're supposed to be that.
Florida State was number really 1 in 93.
But it's a movie, Pete.
These jamokes were trying to get to a bowl game, dude. Like they were like, let's be 7, 8, and 5. I'm telling you,
it's Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally to get to a bowl was like.
Yeah, but I think the whole thing around it, like the atmosphere around
no. This was they were not an elite college football program. I will.
All right, what is Blue Chips?
Die on that hill. UCLA. That's what I thought.
Blue Chips came out in 94. UCLA won the national championship in 95.
I look. That is UCLA. It's on the West Coast.
That's like Florida State, man.
No.
The program.
No, dude. I disagree. I strongly disagree.
I'm not a fan of the film.
I'm looking up for proof for us. So.
Please, if you could, Zach. And while we wait on that, Pete, can I get your reaction to the Jeremy Swayman deal? I know you've been following this big
I have
time.
no thoughts on the Jeremy. I was so blown away by
Zach
it.
had thoughts.
I was so blown away by it where I don't even want to comment because what I have to say would be off.
When
the
something's
chain.
already so unbelievable,
Yeah.
how do you put it?
How
into
could I put
You know what I
anything
mean?
more onto it?
It's like when the Red Sox win the World Series in 04 after the great comeback against the Yankees. It's like, well, at that point, anything was possible.
And a sweep.
You know? Yeah.
And a
Won the
sweep
8 straight
against
games.
Tony La Russa's Cardinals.
Yep.
That was so impressive.
Roland, Pujols, Edmonds combined for, I think, 2 hits in the whole series.
Wow. Scott
Yeah.
Rowland.
I think Scotty Rowland was 0 for.
Former
Hall of
Philly.
Famer Scott Rowland.
Yeah. Really?
Exactly. Yes.
Zach, what do you know about the guy, Matt Bush was his
And
his
never
name?
had a lead.
Played for the Rangers.
Yeah. So you got a DUI?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't involved. Like he might have. I don't remember fully. He
went
had
to
problems with
prison.
alcohol. Yeah.
Yes, he has had. You should have him on the.
Well,
podcast
I thought he
sometime.
might have had
eventually.
hold
Yeah,
on.
Yeah.
eventually.
That would be the idea.
Yeah.
But I saw that. I mean, the thing to me that's such a bummer about that. I mean, it's a bummer regardless of where you're picked in the Major League Baseball draft, but he was the number 1 pick overall. Oof.
Yeah, big time.
That is.
He and Josh Hamilton. Similar stories.
I'd be curious to see what Ray Hamilton's at today. I'd pull for that
Josh.
guy. Just
Yeah.
I always have rooted for him because when he was sober, he was playing his best baseball. And I would, if I had to guess, I'd say he's sober now. But I mean, who knows?
And fuck, man, going to the Angels, that doesn't help.
For a ton of money,
Doesn't help.
right? I mean, should have never left the Rangers.
Zach, do we have an answer here?
Yeah. No, nobody else. But I mean, it is ESU though.
Oh,
You
like
just take
FSU?
one. You just
It's
take
just
one
one
of
letter
those ticks
off.
out, and it's FSU.
No,
you
you
literally
guys
just
are-
take the bottom horizontal.
We'll have to do
line
more
out.
research so we're ready when we do the program rewatchables. I would love to do that, dude.
What if we? Has anybody done it with just sports movies?
Well, that's how the
Like, there's a ton of kind of rewatchable podcasts.
I can tell you the the anatomy of the whole situation with the rewatchables. They started with sports movies, and then they
Okay.
did Heat one time. Like literally, it was
They did it a second.
Chris
time.
Ryan
They loved it.
and Bill Simmons talking about Heat and Bill Simmons like Pool House or whatever. Right when that network started, this is 2017 or no 2015, I guess.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, I was in
yeah.
college.
And so I was in Monroe. And so like these podcasts were all I had. It was a big deal. So they started in the Pool House. They did Heat. They loved the idea. They started doing sports movies. They realized they had something. They really put in good categories and they were off. They've had like more than I think 300-400 at this point.
That's a lot.
Alvin Mack is based on Derek Brooks.
Where did Derek Brooks play college football?
Florida
Zach?
State.
That's
I'll
tough.
give you that one.
It's a tough one to come back
Yeah.
from.
I had a more Shade Tree Jones, but okay.
Sure. Who could forget him?
He was good. Marvin Jones was really good.
I was going to end with one last thing. Oh, because an idea that Zach and I had once was doing that, but for that shitty run of ESPN original movies, like feature-length movies.
That was
in the early
another. I mean, I hate
2000s,
to,
you
I hate
remember
to
that?
make it a Bill Simmons thing, but that was another thing. They got away from the 30 for 30.
This
And-
isn't even. These were like supposed scripted movies.
Oh no! Yeah,
Like the
that
Dale
was
Earnhart
like
Senior
Tom
movie,
Berenger
Junction
played Bear
Boys,
Bryant.
Pete Rose. That was Junction
awful
Boys.
Indiana one.
Tom Sizemore playing Pete Rose. The
Yes.
late Tom Sizemore.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't
I
forget.
don't know if you can find all of those.
You
man.
cannot, dude.
I've watched
searched.
I watched the Junction Boys one a year or two ago, and
The
season on
Bronx
the
is
Brink one.
burning.
miniseries. Yeah,
Tortoro playing Billy
that
Martin.
was the last of it.
Yeah.
That was 07.
2007. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that. It was a summer thing, 9:00, so I could stay up. I was 10.
Pre-sobriety, I
watched
got
it
a root
all the
canal,
time.
and I took a bunch of pain meds.
Oliver
and whatnot,
Platt.
so that it was awesome. Yeah. Walter Platt was George
Oliver
Steinbrenner.
Platt, yeah.
Yeah.
And other than he and Turturro, it was a bunch of nobodies, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah. Uh-huh.
but
That's
yeah,
a great
Turturro
one.
is Billy Martin, man.
Yeah.
The straw that stirs the drink.
That's right.
Reggie Jackson. All right, we got a break. Pete Souza, 1:00. Pete Souza show live on YouTube. I'm going to be with him probably, unless
Yeah.
he's booked
Oh,
at
yeah.
someone more interesting.
No.
In the last segment, I'll be there to talk about some bullshit. And you can find us bullshit because of me, Pete, not because of you. You can find us high noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central, every weekday. The Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. We'll see you at that time tomorrow.